Are you a freelancer and rather focus on your craft than taxes and business strategy? Think again, because I'm about to share with you 4 super easy strategies that could lower your tax bill by thousands, like Jess, a freelance grant writer that I helped save $10,000 last year. Let's go. Before we get too far down the road, I am not your tax girl. So consider this your educational entertainment that you can now chat with your own professional wizard about. Okay, so just with that disclaimer, let's get on with it. Many freelancers think that hitting $100,000 in annual revenue means that they've made it. But spoiler alert, that is actually the hardest place to be in business. You're still doing all the work, find customers, deliver the work, collect payment, be all the things. Am I right or am I right? Now, because you cannot possibly work more hours and your tax bill was huge, you might be thinking, what the heck am I doing this for, right? Before you start perusing jobs on Indeed or wherever, which you don't even want to do because you know that you have tasted freedom and there is no going back, again, amen or amen, right? Now that leads us into mistake number 1 that freelancers make around this $100,000 mark, which is not hiring help correctly, but honestly, that's a different video. Mistake number 2, which is what we're going to talk about, is hiding from the numbers of your business because you find it overwhelming and you rather not think about it. And that head in the sand approach is costing you thousands of dollars that I'm certain you can find a better way to spend. When I first started my business, I definitely was DIYing it, okay? I totally messed up tracking my business expenses. I definitely didn't think I needed to bother with quarterly taxes because like, hey, I'm too small of a business, right? Wrong. Anyway, I nearly ran out of money twice. Once I had to go take a loan from the bank of dad to cover my business expenses before the next month. So if you can make money mistakes, I want you to know I've probably already made them or I've seen other people make them. And thank goodness that I had a really awesome financial advisor who stopped me after my first year in business and alerted me to some key strategies I was missing. And at the same time, I learned that I had totally goofed up my taxes and I owed a few thousand more. Right then and there, I made the conscious mental commitment to really lean into the uncomfiness of understanding numbers in my business and become a confident businesswoman. Well, voila, the moment I made that commitment and leaned in, I went from losing $20,000 in the month of December of 2020, a little bit of a long story, to making $500,000 1 year later and over $1 million the next. Not only have I learned these strategies on my own business, I have coached hundreds of aspiring freelancers on how to make really good money and set themselves and their families up for success. I am stoked when my freelancers win millions of dollars of grants, but I gotta be real with you. What lights me up is when a woman or a dude, but really I like it when the women make money because I know she's gonna do some really good things with her earnings. Okay, so that leads us to a call that I had with one of my star freelance grant writers. Early on, she'd made $100,000 in her first 18 months with no prior grant writing or business experience. She'd been a really burnt out teacher with 2 littles at home, looking for something with more flexibility and purpose. She told me that she owed a ton of money in taxes. She'd made about $100,000 that year, and she felt like all she was doing was sending her hard-earned profit to Uncle Sam. This is the 4-part framework I use to help her. Number 1 is structure. I advised her to switch from being a sole proprietor to being an LLC taxed as an S corporation, letting her save on self-employment taxes by putting herself on payroll. This is key. Put yourself on payroll. Now listen up, if you only listen to your CPA at the end of the year, they think about one thing, and that's lowering your tax bill for that year. But often they walk over dollars to save pennies and they lack the long-term perspective. You might think, well, why would I put myself on payroll? Because now I have payroll taxes. Yes, you do. And I'm gonna explain why it's worth it for 2 reasons. Number 1, your payroll is an expense to the business, which lowers what it is perceived by the IRS to be profit. For example, if you made $100,000 in revenue last year, minus, let's say, $15,000 in expenses because you work from home, you're now getting taxed about 25% or whatever your tax bracket is on that remaining $85,000. But instead, you want to be paying yourself 50% of your revenue until you hit $250,000 a year. Take a note of that. That would mean that she should be paying herself $50,000 in this example because she made $100,000 plus those $15,000 in expenses means that she is now getting taxed on $35,000, right? 100 minus 50 minus 15 equals $35K. That's better. But that leads me to point number 2, retirement planning. The coolest part about being in business for yourself, well, okay, it's not the coolest, but it's quite cool, is that you can make huge contributions to your retirement as a business expense. You can put 25% of your payroll income into a SEP simple employee pension plan. That is up to $69,000 this year, which if you're doing the math real quick, that means that you would have to pay yourself a $276,000 salary, which is awesome. I literally have friends who do this, and then they get to add on top of that a $69,000 business expense for retirement. And if you add all that up, that is a really awesome compensation plan, am I right? There are nuances to SEPs that I talk about inside the Grant Writers Collective, my online program for folks that are interested in building a career in grant writing, but that gives you the essence of it. Very cool to use your business to also help with retirement. Back to our example. If my freelance grant writer paid herself 50 grand in payroll, she can now put 25% of that, which is $12,500, which is, 25% of her compensation, and that brings her to $62,500. We've now lowered her profit from being taxed on $35,000 of profit to $22,500. You following the math? That leads us to tip number 3, which is deductions. Did you know that there are general benchmarks for how much of your revenue should be in operating costs, pay to you, profit, and taxes? So I have those figures all broken down from how much you'd break that down in 100K, 250K, to 500K, to $1 million in the collective, so that you can benchmark your business numbers against healthy industry recommendations. Now, before you think, I would never have a business that big, I am here to challenge you on that, because my minimum goal for you is to make 250 grand a year in revenue so that your take-home pay is 6 figures. Remember, we pay ourselves 50% of the revenue up to that 250K mark, and then the math changes. But anyway, I know that when you have that financial resources, you truly start to buy back your time, you're getting help in your business so that it can make money even when you take vacation. At $100,000, your profit should only be about 5%, meaning you are only getting taxed on $5,000, not the $85,000 that my freelance grant writer was getting taxed on. How do we go from the $22,500 she has in profit now to about 5K? Well, it's not buying a car or anything stupid. It's about investing back in yourself at that stage and your business for growth. Hire a virtual assistant full-time, get you out of your inbox, help with a number of tasks so that you are doing your zone of genius that makes you money. The biggest thing you can do at this stage is to propel yourself on a rocket ship by investing in you. And that means courses, programs, coaches, retreats, whatever. Anything that gets you learning from others who have been where you want to go. Otherwise, you're gonna run on that $100,000 hamster wheel until you burn out, when you could have kept doubling your revenue every year, unlocking more joy and, frankly, the artifacts that are on your vision board. So point number 3 is deductions. Making sure that you are truly itemizing all of your home office expenses, software subscriptions, and professional development costs, like your membership to the collective. Number 4, income splitting. The final tip is exploring income splitting strategies, which honestly, I'm not actually doing this myself because I'm actually quite conservative about what I do with our business expenses because I want these immaculate, super clean financial records. But basically, this is where you can distribute income among several of your family members or legal entities to reduce your overall tax burden. The idea is that to take advantage of lower tax rates of other family members that then you might be eligible for. So for instance, if you are the family member that's in this higher income bracket than others, you can shift some of that income to a spouse or a child in a lower tax bracket, which can result in paying taxes at a lower rate, reducing the total amount of taxes paid by the family as a whole. So if you zoom out in the context of a business, such as a freelance grant writer, income splitting might be like paying a reasonable salary to a spouse or adult child for legitimate work done in the business. So like we hosted a super fun retreat in Bend, Oregon for grant writing consultants making at least 100K in revenue. And I learned that our co-host was doing this and had a gal in our program. It was also. So basically the co-host was paying her daughters a salary for their role helping with marketing, office cleaning, etc. Income splitting strategies need to comply with tax laws, and there's a lot of things that vary depending on where you live and all that. Okay, so that's why, again, I'm not your tax person, but it is very intriguing. And you see my son a lot. He just disappeared, but I'll go get him in a second. So who knows, maybe this is something I'm gonna experiment with when he gets a little bit older. There are a few hurdles that keep most freelancers from glowing up. Number 1 is being freaked out and overwhelmed by how to manage payroll. And I get it, I was totally there one day, and then I was introduced to Gusto, which makes it super duper easy. Okay, I've employed over 50 people over the years in multiple states, and all of it has been super effortless because of Gusto. We even now offer a 401k plan through it for our employees, which makes things super easy. And I'm gonna link up my affiliate link below if you're interested in that. Challenge number 2 is trying to do all of this yourself. Build a team. Surround yourself with smart people. You will make so much more money than if you try to do everything the DIY route. That DIY route is very, very expensive because let me tell you, business is weirdly not intuitive. It sounds weird, but the only time I've actually had massive level ups in growing my business was when I had a coach. After making these changes, our freelance grant writer saved over $10,000 in taxes, boosting her net income significantly. And this isn't just about saving money. It's about making your business as profitable as it can be and supporting your longer term goals. Again, if you want to know something I'm doing really creative, go watch some of these McCarthy videos where I'm building my tiny house dream. You can see kind of what I'm doing to get creative with tax strategy. But if you are an existing consultant, this is what I need you to know. We have a diagnostic audit where you can look at your business, how it's set up, and I will give you tangible recommendations on what to do to unleash more growth and joy. Check out the link below to take that diagnostic test. If you're a newbie, you haven't made money freelancing or grant writing before, that's cool. I've got a survey for you. You can test if you've got the traits of a successful grant writer, also linked up below. Otherwise, I want you to enjoy the video of the person that I'm actually talking about in this one. I got a little bit of a unicorn spotlight and I think you would really enjoy watching her video. There it is.